it's the end of the world. I said I'm happy, nappy, and it's the end of the world. I said I'm happy, nappy.
The U.S. hits Iran-backed militants with the fourth round of retaliatory strikes. Retaliatory, that's a guy I know, and he'll hit you back real quick. But the retaliatory strikes are, of course, because they hit us. And there was, something like 66 attacks. Now there's like 70 attacks. It says that the United States fighter jets struck 2 sites in Iraq used by Iran-linked militants on Wednesday morning local time, according to the U.S. Central Command and defense officials. This is the fourth round of American retaliatory strikes in response to a near daily spat of attacks on U.S. forces in Iraq and Syria by Iran-backed groups. Now, somehow, in the nearly 70 attacks, it says approximately 66 times since October 17th, that no American soldier has perished. Again, they've had traumatic brain injuries, they've had minor injuries, but luckily, nobody has perished. Others, of course, question, they say all of these attacks, but nobody has been hit, but yet we are striking back. Many people have a theory that we are trying to get into a war with Iran. Mind you, we have been in wars in the Middle East forever, and it seems like we will never truly get out of the Middle East. We'll spend a couple years kind of on a break, but we go right back in. It says U.S. forces have been attacked approximately 66 times since October 17. Pentagon Deputy Press Secretary Sabrina Singh told reporters Tuesday night 32 separate times in Iraq and 34 separate times in Syria. That's really trippy when you're talking about a month, right? And it says Wednesday's strikes were partly in response to militants launching 2 close-range ballistic missiles at U.S. forces at Al-Sad Air Base in western Iraq, injuring as many as 8 service members. It says this was the first use of ballistic missiles against Americans in the region since mid-October. I love how they say it's the first use in like 2 weeks, right? Or in 3 weeks. It says on the morning of November 22nd in Iraq, U.S. Central Command forces conducted discrete precision strikes against 2 facilities in Iraq. The strikes were in direct response to the attacks against U.S. and the coalition forces by Iran and Iran-backed groups, including the one in Iraq on November 21st. How many of you, how many of you raise your hand if you are just quite tired of, war in general? How about the wars that essentially were always somehow not directly related into or not supposed to be into, but somehow we get involved every single time? Now, the more you know and the more that you really look into it, the more you realize that a lot of this is about money, or it's about resources, or it's about oil, or it's about power. It's very little about defending freedoms. In fact, as far as on the front of defending freedoms, our government here is almost in a constant state of trying to take away our personal freedoms. Meanwhile, we're fighting for other people's borders, other people's freedoms, other people's rights. Yet at home, they're essentially, everything's going to crap here. People are literally walking in groups of 10 and stealing whole stores, breaking windows, doing chaos, burning. It's basically a dumpster fire in every major metropolitan city. But yep, I guess we need to intervene. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. Today, we're going to cover a lot more stuff. We're going to cover the threat to humanity. I told you that I thought that it was weird that Sam Altman got ousted. Now they're saying that it might be because he is close to some sentient AGI supercomputer, super intelligence that is a threat to humanity. Not only that, they said that there was a T attack on the Canadian border, but it ended up being something quite normal. A gentleman in a Bentley that was driving so fast, he launched like he was straight out of GTA. So we will talk about all of that tonight on Marfoogle TV. Thank you guys again. Nothing in this show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough.
I said I'm happy, nappy, and it's the end of the world. I said I'm happy, nappy, and it's the end of the world. I said I'm happy, nappy, and it's the end of the world. I said I'm happy, nappy, and it's the end of the world.
All right, what is going on, guys? It's Adam, a.k.a. Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. Today, we're going to go over a ton of stuff in a short amount of time, so you can always go over to marfooglenews.com and find a full bibliography of every single article, tweet, video, picture, document. Somebody said this is all scripted information, and I'm assuming you're talking about all of the mainstream, but if you are talking about us, that would be giving us way too much credit. In fact, I make a ton of mistakes here, pretty much on a daily basis, so if we had some sort of script, you would know it. In fact, the one thing that we do, though, is we have a full bibliography. So in a way, we do have everything in order. You can go to our website. You can find every single article, tweet, video, picture, document that we're going to show you here today. But I do agree. Almost all of the mainstream media is coordinated in such a big way that, of course, it is shaping the narrative. You've all seen the videos of where mainstream media outlets and the actual reporters all say the same sentence, and they want you to say, oh, that's just a coincidence or whatever. And I'm sure they have some sort of, they say, oh, well, it's all trickled up to the same owners. But one thing about that video, if you look at the actual news companies that are involved, they're owned by different owners. So they're not all under the same company, because there is only a small handful of these companies that own all of media. But when you looked, and if you really deep dive into that video that shows all of the reporters saying the same exact sentence, a lot of them were owned by competitors. So why were the competitors saying the exact same sentence? Now, I know that writers probably have limited things on certain stories where they have to say, well, everybody's rolling with, shock and awe or whatever. They called the response to 9/11 shock and awe. It's like everybody called it that. But I'm talking about like where it is completely and utterly coordinated. As far as I try to make corrections when I make mistakes. I am not. I don't ever claim to know it all. Somebody said that. All of this is just absolute craziness, and we'll never know the full truth. I agree with that. One thing that you have to look for is more of the patterns. It's more of seeing the patterns of where it's going rather than actually finding the truth. We're never going to know the whole truth, and we may not know the whole truth even in 60 years from now, when CIA or NSA ends up putting out some sort of documents for our great-grandchildren and say, oh, this was totally an operation, and we totally changed who was leading us, or this or that, and that comes out in 60 years. It will still be redacted, and we still will never have the truth. So we really want to look for the next best thing and see the patterns and look at what they're preparing for. Often, if you see what the government is preparing for and what they're heavily drilled on and what they're paying money for in the back end, on the back page, what they are preparing for, that is often what is going to happen. And time again, people say, oh, well, this is fake news, or this is that. Half of the time, it's shaping the narrative before it happens. So, it does take a special type of person to realize, like, it really is that way. All of the events that happen, it's like you'll see 6 months in advance. They have warnings about it. 3 months in advance, they have drills about it. 2 months in advance, they have tabletop exercises, and then the thing happens. And it's almost identical, but it's just a little bit different. And then people still don't get that is something that is actually put out there beforehand. A lot of people don't believe in predictive programming. I know a lot of you guys do. that it's in Hollywood and everything else. If you read books, which were really well put together, like by Mark Dice about Operation the Bird, and it's mocking them. If you look at that, and if you actually look at the footnotes and the information that he put into that book, you will realize that these are done. It is done thoughtfully. Media is bought by certain powers. Almost all the media and the military movies, like even Red Dawn, the new remake, that was actually Ganda. Like a lot of that was Ganda. I don't know about the original one, but there's a lot of evidence about the new one, and any other movie where they show current military gear being used in. Usually it's because the United States military will allow them to do that, but usually they have some sort of tweak in the script or something where they want to get something done as well. There's a lot of stuff like that. And we'll never know the full truth, but we can see the patterns. What are the patterns right now? Most of you can tell everybody else or anybody that's new, we are headed towards a hot war. We're headed towards World War III, and a hot one. Many believe, and including myself, that we are already in World War III right now. And we're more worried about how we're going to prepare for what's going to happen during. I believe that we are going to have a massive event, and they are going to attempt, and I hope they don't, they are going to attempt to take our grid down. They are going to attempt to take banks down. They're going to attempt to take our cyber system. Now, whether it will actually last for 2 years, that depends on what kind of thing it would be. If they actually take out Transformers, then it will be a minimum of 2 years. If they do it and it's cyber and they can fix it, it might be a week. But even a week, we would have complete chaos on Earth. So again, with this was a freaky day because we ended up having a car drive, and at first, outlets were saying that this was some sort of T attack coming from the Canadian border or near the Canadian border at the Rainbow Bridge. This car, we actually know somebody who knows this person. So, or at least knows the family friend. So we'll talk about that here in a minute. The person driving, apparently, they say that the car took control, that the car just lost control of itself and started going. I do know one other person I personally know that said that their car did the same thing, and not a lot of people believed him. But that was a Subaru with all of this crazy gear, all of the self-driving, smart cruise control and stuff. So we'll talk about a ton of stuff today. You have a full list of bibliography, so you can check our work, you can check our sources, where it's from. You can't say that we're sharing something that is completely invalid unless it's an opinion. And in that case, I try to clarify. So let's bring in my co-internet brother, Dex James. What is going on and how are you doing today?
Well, hello, Adam. Hello, Foogle fam. I'm doing just fine.
So, Dex, as far as the responses, people don't even care. This is now a response. They are now attacking into these countries, but really, people are just going to brush it off. And again, and I think it's going to continue to do that. We are going to continue attacking until something bigger happens, and then it gets crazy out of control, and we're in a direct war with Iran. But again, I don't think people really care about that. People are more concerned about other issues right now. And I don't think it's justified. I think that a lot of people should be worried about what's happening in the near future. But again, most of you guys are on the same page as that. Speaking of pages, go to marfooglenews.com/friends and find all of our wonderful mods. They keep it a peaceful place with, again, anywhere from 1,000 to 3,000 people in chat. They are always helping the community. So make sure to help them back by subscribing. Go buy their books, go buy their art, support them. They're all independent artists in one way or another. Dex, do you want to talk about Jordan beefs up army presence along the borders with Ray L?
Certainly. So, again, into this camp of people don't necessarily care about what's, from a conflict point of view, because it's frustrating because we're just always in it. But at the same time, this stuff actually plays a very big part in what we pay for, our taxes, and because we know that this machine is going to keep running. They do it 90% of the time our country's been in existence. They're in a conflict. And it's going to keep feeding that machine, and it's coming out of our tax dollars, and it's affecting the lives of our sons and daughters who have, so bravely enlisted themselves into a position to support our country. So in this case, Jordan, for those of you that don't recall, Jordan is where it's right up against borders with Israel. It's one of the countries where we have a lot of military gear going into. We don't actually say we have bases there, but we certainly are putting a lot of our gear there because we have relationships with them, very strong relationships. Well, Jordan has now beefed up their entire border across with Israel with their military, with their army. Specifically, they're saying they're doing it for the purposes of keeping anybody that Israel may be pushing their way out. In other words, the Palestinians that live in the West Bank, if as they get pushed out, if conflict continues to happen and continues to grow there, Jordan is afraid they're going to come into their country. If you remember, Egypt had the same principle as it related to the Strip. They said, "Hey, we'll sacrifice millions of lives if we have to protect that and keep people from coming in to our country and it becoming our burden to have to deal with." And it's much along the same lines. At least that's what they're telling us now. There may be other reasons why this is happening, and we'll have to see how it plays out. But that's the current narrative.
And somebody asked if this is live. This is very live. And thank you for being here. It's live usually 5 nights a week. We have had a lot of issues, so thank you guys for being patient. Specifically, one platform has been most of the problem, and it's just been the last week of really trying to get it to set the actual live. So again, thank you for your patience. It just basically acts like if you've ever been into an app where you type everything in, you put it in, and then it just resets like you didn't do anything. Same thing. We have gotten a lot of people emailing us saying that the subscribe button, they're subscribed, and then they refresh, and then they're just not subscribed anymore. So make sure to let us know if that's going on, but otherwise just check. Make sure you are subscribed. If you're not subscribed, you're not going to get the notification about our show. We have a lot of people all over the world that are letting us know kind of what's going on in their neck of the woods. So we are trying to pass on whatever we find that is, of course, important. We are only a few people. So again, we can only get so many of those messages in. So if you do want to get a hold of us, make sure not only to reach out to us via emails. You can find all of our information on our website, marfooglenews.com, and you can also reach out to the mods if there's something emergent. If there's breaking news during the show, since we are live, let us know in the chat. And again, let us know about stories. We've gotten it onto our show and onto the website by the end of it. And then as far as the tunnels underneath this thing, right? I'm not going to go into the debate. I don't want to go into the just fiercely back and forth on this. But I will tell you what people have said over the last 2 weeks. People have been all over Twitter. There's been a fierce battle between the two sides supporting each side, and they have questioned, hey, why haven't they shown us this whole system underneath? I see reasons on both sides why they wouldn't, and I see reasons why they couldn't, right? But people have questioned, like, why didn't they show it earlier, this whole system underneath the hospital? Well, now, weeks later, or almost weeks later, they are saying they're actually showing the tunnel stuff that's under this hospital. The reason why this was a big deal was because if they were using this hospital as a base, it's a big deal. It's a big deal because they would be using it as sort of a shield. Hospitals are off limits to hit with certain things. But of course, not in this. In fact, they have actually hit hospitals during this, whether it be the other side or them. Either way, hospitals have been hit. They say that there's been snipes waiting for people to come out and pop, and they're gone. But again, there have been pieces, even by the BBC, that have said, well, they need to prove and put out actual proof of this. And they essentially picked apart the videos that came out of that same hospital. And the reason why they did so is they said that it was an unedited video, but they caught cuts. And then also there were changes. I don't know if you guys remember the show. I talked about that video that was done behind the MRI. that I didn't realize that later on, a couple days later, I saw a clip on BBC and they showed a different bag behind it. So there were some things that folks have obviously questioned, right? But right now, there is a huge battle of not only what you say, but what you don't say, what you support, and what you don't support. Mainly, a lot of folks are getting problems for riding the fence. Historically, if you're trying to be unbiased, you can't be on a fence. But some people just don't accept that. As far as what's going on, I'm more concerned about the bigger picture of what's going to happen here in the United States, what's going to happen in Australia, in Europe. And it looks exactly like a playbook that is going to escalate things and get us into a world war. So this system here, this is, again, they're saying, one thing I don't get is, I guess maybe because they hit it with big explosives, but shouldn't there be just a normal entrance, and did they destroy it first, and that's why they have to dig out with an excavator? They show here that you see some like pallets there, and then an entrance to this place. I was under the impression, and I'm sure a lot of other people are too, that these tunnels are concreted, that they're all set, and they've been doing them for years, and then there's a whole system of them. But a lot of the pictures we've seen have been like holes in the dirt type of things. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Again, they showed a reinforced tunnel beside the hospital on Wednesday, complete with a bathroom, kitchen, and an air-conditioned meeting room that it said had served as a command post for these figures. And then this is crazy. So they originally reported this as a possible T attack against our country. It was for minutes, and things were rapidly changing, and you'll see this in a text correspondence I had. I don't think he said that. I just want to make sure. I think so. They did say, I know they said that we could share this, but there's no names on this. I'll make sure, and I'll again, this is from somebody who knows it says the car took over. I know someone whose mother is friends with the family. He lives there. The car just went out of control. I said, was it a Tesla? Says just a 50-year-old couple driving a Bentley. Driver was on the phone with his son and said nothing was working and that the car did its own thing. So this is now, and I believe from what I see in chat that this is the official story, and people are saying, some said that the engine flew out of the car. If you haven't seen this video, then you really don't understand why people are talking about it. This Bentley was going so fast. Some folks are saying like Bentleys are powerful. They're expensive cars. They're fast. But they're heavy. They're like 5,000 pounds. They're like 2-ton cars, like crazy big. These things are boats. This thing flew, no joke, like a car out of GTA. They say it was a white or silver car, and the thing in the video is just absolutely nuts. They show this thing flying. Let's see here. So check this out. They show it flying in the background. And just to show this one part, you see at one point, it's above the truck here. You can see almost the whole box truck underneath it, and that's in the distance. So again, if that box truck was here, I believe it would have cleared it. This is like some Evel Knievel type stuff. So this was not, and a lot of the stuff said that it was on the border. I believe it was near the border, but it may have actually ended up in Canada. Like how far it went, and it didn't stop, this and that. That's insane. Dex. So this was absolutely nuts. The more that you see it, the crazier it is.
Yeah, it certainly is. And they are confirming now with the investigators. They have come out and said that it was a Bentley and it was a couple, which goes hand in hand with this message coming from the people that know the family. And they apparently were supposed to be attending a Kiss concert that was canceled. So they went to the casino and they were on their way back from the casino when this happened. So yeah, and that's that car's moving real. I mean, it's screaming. If you look at the very beginning before it goes airborne, at the car behind it that's making a turn, and just understand, it may be going a little slow because it's turning, but the speed at which the differential between those two, that car is really moving fast.
There's a car behind it, a white car that's going about 20, and this thing screams by it going 120, 130. How did it hit a ramp, though? It hit a curb and went that high?
They say it's a guardrail. It hit a guardrail and it launched the vehicle.
That is so absolutely insane. So one thing here, and this was again near Niagara Falls, and it was Rainbow Bridge. So as far as if have I let me just double check. I don't want to. I don't want to, because it does have relevance. Who sent us that? Let's see here. Okay, so it sounds like he's cool with it. So that was Jacob Israel that said that. And I don't think there's anything bad about it. But yeah, so car took over. I know someone whose mother is friends with the family. And he lives there, and the car just went out of control. He was on the phone with his son and said that he lost control over it. What's even trippier is this happened at Rainbow Bridge. And mind you, I know that not everybody's into this stuff, but if you look at some of the stuff that this happened, this had some really weird stuff with numbers. This happened on the camera. You can actually see this on the actual original video. It shows that it was at 11. It was at 11:22 on 11:22. It was at 11 p.m., 11 a.m., 11:22 a.m., and it shows on the camera 11:22 on 11:22. And that's what it says at the top left-hand corner. And it's a trip because if you've been following Jacob Israel, he actually posted what somebody found on the dollar bill just the other day. It was the $1 bill, which has the 2 ones and then 2 number 2s and then 2 ones and then 2 number 2s. So 1122, 1122. And then also there was this other thing that he did, and he did a video about 1122, 1122 or whatever, 1122. He's got a whole bunch of stuff. And then he also posted this random thing about a rainbow and his hand with a rainbow on the picture. And it was like all in the same time period. And on 11/22 of the previous year, he posted this tweet, and it's just really freaking weird. It's like, even if it's complete coincidence, it's just so freaking weird that things like this happen. I know not everybody's into the numbers and stuff like that, but it wasn't like, oh, you're just able to stretch it. It's like, it's weird when things line up like that. So I would recommend just going over and watching Jacob's last video, or last short, I believe. It was a short video that was done edited. If you go to his last live, that's even crazier. So make sure to go check out his channel. You can go to Jacob Israel's channel. But yeah, he's the one who sent me that text. This was during that time. I even asked, I said, was it a Tesla? Like, how did it go that far? And how did it take control? But all the new cars and all these new really fancy cars, they have self-drive assist. They have radar, so you can actually kind of let it go on the freeway. But this is exactly what I feared. And my aunt had a car that actually drove into her house. And it drove under her porch and tore up her whole porch. And it was a Subaru with all the self-drive assist. And she's still fighting a thing that basically she believes the car did it on its own. She's drove for 60 years, and she's never had anything like that happen. She said that the car just took off on its own. And I bet that a lot of these car companies that are doing these self-radar assisted things and smart cars, I bet that this is happening a lot more than we think. And obviously they're not going to want to tell you because they might have to recall entire chunks of cars. Dex, go ahead. It's happened before as far as the recall cover-ups.
Oh yeah, this has certainly happened before, and especially as the smart cars evolve, we're going to see a lot more of it. The other thing to think about, though, is how much was this error in the system, or was it hacked in the system, or taken over and controlled by some other force, which could have happened as well. If this story we're talking about is true, again, all of this is, none of this is verified. It's just coming from sources, reliable sources, and it's not anything that's out of the realm of possibility here. So it was why it's worth talking about. But keep in mind too, both of these people perished. The husband and wife perished in the event. But if they were on the phone beforehand and getting up to this rate of speed, they were obviously in this car and wondering like what's going on, like where they're trying to manage the car and the car is sort of taking over. I imagine they're probably steering to some extent, but there comes a point when speed prevents you from making good steering judgments because you're just going to get beyond the control of the vehicle. And that car was going way fast.
Yeah, I didn't know that they perished until much later, and that's really, really sad. Imagine talking to your father. I couldn't imagine. I'm praying for that son, and especially since it's somebody that through our circle of friends, Jacob knows the family or somebody who's very close to the family. So that's like really messed up. Think about that, how much that would mess you up to talk to your father right before they perish. I was just telling you guys a story about that kid who got caught spelunking, and he was upside down with his, went into a cave where he couldn't turn around, and then his body got stuck, and he actually had a cell phone. They were able to put a cell phone in there so he could talk to his family, but there was literally nothing they could do. They couldn't open up the mountain. They couldn't drill in. They tried everything. They tried chopping him out. They couldn't. So he had to sit there and talk to them until he just basically ran out of life. That's another kind of fear, is like being in contact with somebody as they're perishing in a weird or odd way. He was probably on speakerphone with his dad when this happened. Like, that's horrid. So I'm praying that those two went to heaven, whether they be, somebody said that they're probably rich Fs. Whether they are or not, that's not a way to go. But it is odd, all of the weird events that have been going on. Go ahead, Dex.
Well, and if it does come out that this was an accident of some sort of loss of control, people are going to then want to look into who they were and where were they targeted to. So I'm sure that will be next when identities start coming out. So hopefully the family doesn't get barraged with that, because I know that can be a difficult thing.
Well, also in a week where we've talked about the fact that they want to add things to limit speed in cars. Dex, do you think that's kind of interesting? Just recently, the government said that they wanted to put limiters on cars after that guy that did the deadly run from the police. Something like this would add to their case too, where these two people perished. This car could have put in danger. It was a big deal. They thought it was a T attack. All this, they could use this and say, well, that car should have been limited. There should have been a system in there that limited it to 60 miles an hour. This was going easily 120, 130. So watch them use this for a political advantage. Never let a disaster go to waste. Before we move on, make sure to go over to marfooglenews.com/EMP. This is one of the events we've talked about, and one of the more likely out of all of the crazy scenarios out there, as far as there's very unlikely and crazy ones. One of the most likely is an EMP event, and that's because all of the different countries that are our adversaries, almost every one of them has this ability. Some of them have been vocal and have even said that they would do this, like North Korea. North Korea and others have super EMP weapons that could knock down our entire grid. And as far as the plan that goes with it, our United States government has a basic plan at best. And in fact, other experts that are on the actual task force for the Pentagon say that there is really no plan. If you look at events like Hurricane Katrina and talk to somebody like able-bodied or somebody that was there, obviously they have a subset of a department that's supposed to deal with every last problem, right? They war game this stuff out. They simulate stuff out like a hurricane or this or that. It took 3 days or 4 days to get water to the Superdome in Hurricane Katrina. There was a plan for that, right? But yet it didn't work out. There was a plan for this and that. Well, police officers left their post to go save their own families. So no matter how well you plan something out, it's just not there. Now, as far as our entire grid going down, they have black start for restarting it, but they have no plan for what they are actually going to do once chaos comes because they don't know what's going to happen. So if you don't want your car to stop running, and if you don't want your truck, your motorcycle, your motorhome to stop after multiple EMPs or even a CME from the sun, this also protects you against a Carrington level event, then you will want to do this and protect yourself against that by putting one of these in your car. This is easy. Red to red on your battery, black to black on your battery, green to ground, so a part of your frame, and then you just bolt it into part of your car. It's super easy. You can do it in less than 10 minutes, and then you're protected against EMPs and CMEs and even lightning. They make one for your house, your home, of course, your ham radios, your generators. You can get your gas-powered generator protected. Again, because this is one of the ones that even they just put out too, that some of the Middle Eastern countries, this is approved in their holy books because it doesn't directly take lives. But when people will perish is because once our grid is down, all of our infrastructure fails. It's really easy to take down a digital economy. It's really, really easy to take it down. It's really hard to get it back up again. Go to marfooglenews.com/EMP and make sure to use the code MARV. That code will not only save you $50 off per device, but it will help us survive. We are independent. We're up against mainstream media. And again, it's not been the easiest in the last 5 years, where the algorithms used to put what people were watching at the top. Now it's what they want you to watch at the top. So go to marfooglenews.com/EMP and make sure to use the code MARV. Dex, talk about the 2 small Kentucky towns being evacuated.
So here we have another derailment and a potential or an actual chemical spill. I think they've said that this is sulfur. There's at least 15 cars involved. This is happening in Kentucky. It's the towns of Livingston and Piney Branch. And since we were talking about this article before the show, we started looking through it. In that time, they've actually come out and declared a state of emergency now, too. So that's the latest update over this. So I think they've even upped it to now 16 train cars that have been involved. So approximately 2:23 today, the CSX train derailed north of Livingston. Preliminary information indicates that 16 cars were involved, including 2 molten sulfur cars that have been breached and have lost some of their contents, which is also on fire. So molten sulfur burns. It's known to release sulfur dioxide. And specialized equipment is being deployed to conduct air monitoring in the area. So that's the state of affairs as it relates right now with Kentucky. We'll be keeping eyes on it. It's now obviously it's late, it's dark. It's they're having to work through the night, I guess, and continue working beyond this. But I'm sure the people that live in these areas or anywhere near it are probably going to be worried about what may be contaminating them, if at all.
And that is what Rip Curl Readiness was referencing earlier as far as the derailments. We obviously pay a lot more attention to derailments because the East Palestine one that happened and caused that crazy out of a movie black cloud of chemicals and all of the reactions to that. So It also makes you wonder if any of these could be on purpose. Just a couple weeks ago, we saw there was a story about a train where they found on the tracks a clamp and some sort of device to actually purposefully derail a train. I don't know if it was a C-clamp or something. I remember, was it an actual derailing device or was it homemade or something? Do you remember that, Dex? It was just about a week or 2 weeks ago.
It was referred to as a clamp. It could have been any number of things, but they do make and sell derailers because it's an actual device used in the rail industry that goes at the end of a track, like in a yard. If you don't want the train to keep going straight at the end of an area where you need to make sure it falls off, they put a derailleur on there, and it's meant to cause the actual car to flip over on its side off of the track as a stopgap measure to keep proceeding.
Just like if a truck the brakes burn out, they have the pull away kind of what do they call those? truckers, you guys know.
Runaways.
The runaway tracks, where it will be on the bottom of a hill and they'll make a hill up so it can go, and then it goes into some sand. Same thing with trains. They'll do those derailing devices. But this was done on purpose, and it was not done where they needed to be. They say, luckily, they found it before there was a train derailment. But it makes you wonder if some of these are possibly attacks. And if groups were organized, if the cells really wanted to do this, there's a lot of trains all around the country. And if it takes just a simple clamp on the actual track to derail it, heck, I mean, they could take some sort of saw and saw a chunk out of it and make the thing, completely go off track. So there's a lot of things that could technically happen, and we're kind of blessed that we don't have more horrible things happen. And that's because most people are not insane and they don't want to go to prison for the rest of their lives or get, taken out. But at some point, some of these things could happen, and that's why preppers prep. Thank you. I used to be in the library, says same donation amount as the sister channel. Happy Thanksgiving, and thank you to all the Foogle team. Mind you, over on the news, again, for the last month, we've had issues seeing it, but usually we try to shout those out on the next channel. So thank you again, and happy Thanksgiving to you as well. Again, I used to be in the library. Love that name. Thank you for being a regular here now for the past few months. I appreciate that. Thank you from Canada. Grace for you too. Thank you as well. Thank you for the super sticker. And Sharon Davis, don't give up till we are all using candles. And unfortunately, there's probably some folks out there that are rooting for it. And then Melissa Height, thank you so much for the support as well. And then Try Licit, thanks as well. Says, how's it going? Happy Thanksgiving to all of you guys, by the way. And I hope that everybody is going to have a really good, awesome time tomorrow. North Korea fires missile towards sea a day after it launched the spy satellite. I feel like there's a setup here. The headline is really much of the story, but they performed a suspected failed missile test on Wednesday night. South Korea's military said hours after South Korea said that it would resume frontline aerial surveillance in response to the North's recent spy satellite. If you watch the show a lot, then you probably know I've kind of, beat this to death. And I think that Kim Jong-un could be used as a tool by China or other major power to attack the United States and be the scapegoat. So if we respond to anybody, it would be responding and wiping out North Korea off the map, which he may have a deal with somebody else to run a different table. Obviously, it would not, if you were running an entire country, and especially when you're considered a god in your country, I could only imagine what that would do to somebody's head if you grew up in a household where they said, after me, you're going to be their god, not ruler, god, and you're going to control everything. I could only imagine if they would actually give that up to go run another state or to run a smaller place. If somebody promised them like, hey, you do this and you'll get a chunk of China or you'll get a chunk of Russia or something. We'll let you run the new world of Siberia, Ina or something. I don't know. But I do think that something to do with North Korea, that something is going to happen with North Korea and South Korea as the third kind of big thing and kickoff to World War III. What do you guys think? Let me know. Now they're surveilling them, and it says hours, of course, after it announced it decided partially suspend an inter-Korean agreement and restart frontline aerial surveillance. It actually launched those weapons. First weapons firing in more than 2 months. And then Dex, Finland closes all but one of its borders. So one of the things here too, we covered this, Dex, and they closed all but 4. It was like there was 12 or 16 openings or something. They closed all of these, and this is a huge clue. They're worried about sleeper cells from other countries coming into their countries, and this is a NATO country. They said that they were going to keep 4 open. Now they've even closed more. Now they have 1. Why do you think they're doing this?
Well, as we reported in that prior article, a lot of the migration that's coming from Russia is actually coming from countries in the Middle East. They're coming up, and then Russia is pushing them over to the border and pushing them into Finland. So Finland, like you said, as we reported a few days ago, said, "Hey, we're going to shut it down. We're just going to narrow it down to 4, so we can process these people and kick them out and not let them in, or hold them in the special way, whatever, however they are going to deal with their own problem. All these countries have their own ways of doing it. But now they're saying they're getting rid of 3 of the 4 and only going to have 1. So it's getting tighter. And of course, Russia was not happy at all about this because they thought that these border crossings showed at least some signs of continuing relations with Finland. And as Finland shuts these down and says, "Hey, there is no more migration back and forth between our countries. We don't have the ability to go across." That is again hurting that relationship. And Russia was very vocal about it when they went to 4. I imagine they may have something to say about this again, but I still think the real risk is, they're doing this for a reason, and it's not just a economic reason. I certainly think of it as more of a security reason, and that's why we should pay attention, because if it's happening there, it's happening in lots of other places too.
And of course, like Dick said, if it's happening there, it's happening everywhere else. But everywhere else doesn't have, over 5.3 documented million people coming in through their south border. And for whatever reason, it's been like a cultural thing to turn a blind eye to it and even encourage it and to even message it like it's some sort of like obvious op. So we'll see what happens there. Broken Wrench said something pretty important, said China will tie us up in proxy conflicts and deplete our stocks. Think about Korea and South Korea. We're going to support South Korea. That will be yet another thing that we're supporting. And then Taiwan and China. It will not be good. And then Kathy Adams says, once my car is in cruise control, I did doze off for a quick second. My car shot off the road like a rocket. I wound up upside down in a ditch. So this does happen. I honestly felt an angel grab me. Kathy Adams, I bet you feel blessed. Those systems can be scary. They're supposed to have safeguards, but a lot of the new ones, they're meant so you can let go of the wheel, let go of the gas, and let it do itself. If they have an error or a mistake, well, I guess then you're on the nightly news. Let's see here. And then the U.S. and the Philippines conduct joint air-sea patrols in South China Sea, not far from Taiwan. That's another area, the Philippines and China. There's been constant news about the Philippines. Why do you think that is, right? There are issues with other countries and other countries all the time. There are many countries that have things going on, but does the U.S. media cover it? Even countries that we support, that we back up, that we say that we will come to their aid. There are countries that we actually have agreements with and deals, and they are getting bullied by other countries, or they have battles or even small conflicts, but yet we don't cover it. My big question is, why do we hear so much about the Philippines and the South China Sea? Is it because people will follow it? The South China Sea, the Spratly Islands, it's definitely an interesting topic. Or is Philippines going to be an important thing in the future as well? I see a pattern here, and I think that the Philippines is going to be important as part of World War III. I think geographically they're close, and I bet there's going to be something to do with that. What do you guys think? I would love to hear your opinion. And of course, I would love to hear what you guys think, because obviously, there's a lot of you out there that have really, really great thoughts on this. I would love to share them with the rest of the Foogle fam. Before we move on, I do want to remind you, make sure to go over and check out marfooglenews.com/prep. If you don't have any kind of backup food, or if you're one of the millions and millions of people that have about 3 days of food in your fridge, then I highly recommend doing something other than that. This is a great resource because this is really affordable food that is freeze-dried, that will last 25 years, that you just add water or cook in water, and it brings it back to life. Freeze-drying is the process that preserves food the best. It keeps almost all of the flavor in, and it lasts extreme long times. Again, that you can store it and have it ready to go. The great part about this is freeze drying, of course, is not a cheap hobby. If you end up going and getting a freeze dryer, it is very expensive. It is, again, something that only the most serious preppers do. But if, as far as having extra food that lasts a long time, a lot of people do all sorts of other tactics. They get canned foods, they get this, but then you end up having them rotate out and they end up expiring in 2 or 3 years, and you've got to keep track of all that. This is a great way to basically set it and forget it for 25 years, or again, some people, to be safe, they go 20 years. The price on freeze-dried food has been skyrocketing because of the actual freeze-drying process, because of the companies that are doing it. So this is, a lot of folks think of it as an investment. If food and inflation goes nuts, we are already having a problem even going to the grocery store and affording just the essentials. You will spend $100 just getting milk, eggs, cheese, and etc. If you want to protect yourself against whatever the future holds, this is also a good way to do that. There may be no disaster. There may be inflation that ends up needing you to have use of this. So this is a good thing, whether it be for a tornado or earthquake, inflation, or just everything hits the fan, grid down, no matter what it is, this is a great thing to have. It's, again, a kit. You can get 3-month kit at the biggest discount, because the more bulk you get, just like Costco, the bigger deal you get. You get a giant discount right now from all of our affiliates. And tonight, just to remind you, if you did want to freeze dry your own stuff, Harvest Right, we have a brand for that. That is Black Friday sale of $500 off. There's a lot of Black Friday sales right now, and it's pretty much your last chance to do that. So make sure to go over to marfooglenews.com/prep. A lot of folks wait until this time of the year to do a lot of this stuff, because obviously you want to save the most money. So go over and check out their Black Friday deals. Anything from a 3-day kit all the way up to a 3-month kit. It's a really smart thing to do, not just for end of the world, for any kind of disaster. And then anti-censorship tools are quietly disappearing into thin air in China. This is creepy. Dex, tell them why.
Yeah, so let me I'm going to try and simplify it. I'm sorry, it's a bit of a geeky subject, but in China, you can't get past what's known as the Great Firewall, and they have that there to block people from getting access outside of their country, so that the CCP can control what they have access to. We talk to people. We know a lot of people use things like VPNs or proxies to get out. Well, the way they do that is they're using tools that are put up by other people that are being shared. For example, this tool from on this ecosystem called Clash. Now, imagine that this is built probably by an individual developer, maybe 1 or 2 guys in China. They probably built it, they maintain it, and they upload it to this site called GitHub. GitHub is a place where you can share software that's been developed, including even the code, depending on what you do, and you can download it and install it from there. What has been happening is there are numerous tools built on this Clash ecosystem, everything from Android to another product called Verge and Clash X, which I imagine would be for like probably Mac or something like that, and then just the regular Clash system. So what is happening is they have noticed that all of a sudden, each of these repositories, as they call them, or each of these systems that have been placed out there, are just disappearing. They are taking them off, and which means the actual developers are turning them off. And the reason they say that is because GitHub is pretty prominent about saying, hey, if we're given a takedown notice by a government, we publish that. So they actually publish and let you know when the government is asking them to take down software from the GitHub site. And none of it is on there from these aren't being listed on there as that the Chinese government is taking them down. So that what they're speculating is that these individual people who have been sort of supporters and champions behind the Great Firewall, helping people get information out, they've been targeted and they've been discovered. And once they've been discovered, then of course it's real easy for the CCP to, twist their arm and say, you're going to lose your livelihood if you keep this up. You need to take it down. And that is the best explanation we can see right now of this trend that is happening of multiple tools being taken out that would help people in the behind the Great Firewall and trying to get out to the public and be able to find other information on the internet. So it is very geeky as to what's happening in this article. So, but I hope that simplifies it. Basically, the speculation is the government there is doing it, and they're doing it by going after the people that are making it, and the people themselves are then going and deleting it so that no one else can use those tools they've created. And it's not just one, it's many.
Yeah. So, and some have, some that I talked about this on a Spaces said that they believe that something bigger is in the works. And a lot of this is tied into a bigger kind of thing that is happening with China. There's a lot of tools there. There's a lot of things that have happened. We've covered from them stopping teenagers from using video games and voice chat, even on Xbox and PlayStation and things. In fact, it's like a nationwide thing that they can only play video games on Friday for like 3 hours or something. And I don't know if they've updated that or if they changed that. But they were worried about voice chat being used, and they said it was a national security issue. China was worried about voice chat with Xbox and games, right? So they have also limited that. They have limited flight radar. Flight radar systems there were taken out, the physical hardware and things. They went around and tried to get rid of it. They're worried about us knowing what's flying above their country. And there's a lot of weird events happening there. And then California can share gun owners' personal information with researchers, appeals court rules. Huh, funny, because this is the same place that leaked all the gun owners. It's a state appeals court ruled that California can continue providing personal information of Bang Bang owners to researchers to study gun violence, reversing last year's decision by a lower court judge who said such data sharing violates privacy rights. So why does it not? This needs, and this is a state appeals court, right? Dex, can't this go back? Shouldn't something like this go up to the Supreme Court? Like, shouldn't they go over this and try to, is there anything they can do to fight against this?
Well, I don't know that it's been announced that it's going up to the next level, but I would think there's got to be something else. They certainly could send it to the Supreme Court and at least get a decision as to whether or not they will listen to it. But this is, very concerning. I mean, sure, you've got the warm fuzzy side of it. Says that they're researching, a specific thing that they want to be able to improve that'll, save people's lives. So that makes you feel good. But then when you get down to it, they're basically taking millions of people's information, giving it up and giving it over to these firms. And now you're entrusting these firms to have that. Pretty scary.
Starship says video games were started by military to train. They still use things. I see a lot of videos from what is that video game, Arma 3? People will share those videos as real videos, and a lot of them have gone viral, and people literally think those are real. They are very good. I mean, I've seen videos where I thought it was absolutely real without a doubt, and then realized that it was a clip from Arma 3. Look up Arma 3 clips. You'll be blown out of your socks. And then 217 in Ohio. Joe, that you know. Well, thank you from Ohio. I love that you are here. Paul Saul, walls are going up so they won't be able to see what you can now. Yeah, I could see that. I believe in rapture, but if the pre-tribbers are right, I didn't get to see the rest of it. Me to Marf, it got me yesterday. Ha ha ha. And then love you, Marf. Jamie Martini Franklin. Well, I love you too. Thank you. Mr. E, look up passage where it says we won't be able to believe what we see. There's a lot of passages right now that are falling into the correct category. It's quite crazy. It's almost like they are going along a script to match it perfectly. And then Bill Gates says a 3-day work week where machines can make all the food and stuff isn't a bad idea. Mind you, this is with the help of the computers and everything else. There's a deeper thing here, and there's stuff that's going on right now, especially the Reuters article that just came out. and it's from Reuters. There is stuff being said about why Sam Altman got fired. Mind you, both Dex and I have talked about this. A lot of people tuned out. Some people said, this is above my head. It's kind of nerdy stuff, or they don't care about AI. AI is a huge deal. It is going to change the way we live our life. Some say, it's not that big of a deal. They over-exaggerate it. I do not believe that at all. I'm already seeing it change lives. I'm already seeing it change everything. Now we're seeing half of this platform is now videos made by AI completely. You're seeing not only the video portion of it, but you're also seeing the audio portion of it. You're seeing the script portion of it. Everything is AI. You're seeing news companies like CNET. They did 70 articles entirely with AI. Now, they did say that they edited it, and I know why. Because AI makes mistakes like somebody who speaks a foreign language would with English and, says a word that's plural when it's not supposed to be, that kind of thing. But before they announced it, and it's almost like they were going to get caught, so they came out, they said, by the way, as an experiment, we did 70 articles at CNET that were all done by AI. And nobody noticed? That's freaking crazy. And they're talking about these assistants. Now, there's a show out that I found the other day, and I ended up signing up for a free stupid trial for Hulu to watch it. And it's Murder at the End of the World. And in this show, there's only 2 episodes out, and I think a third one's coming out, which was funny because after I watched it that morning at 8:30 in the morning, 10:30 in the morning after I watched the first couple episodes, I talked to Jacob I saw Jacob Israel on Donut Show, and he was talking about this show. So the same thing grabbed him. I was like, something at the end of the world. I got to watch it. And the plot actually shows, without spoiling anything, they talk about this rich billionaire that invites these really key figures out to Iceland to his end of the world bunker retreat thing, right? And he talks about how he's got his new AI assistant. And this AI assistant is a person that you put on glasses and you can see him either projected, or you have a projection system in your house, or you can see him on your phone like he's there through AR or through AR video, right? So this AI assistant that they have in this show, essentially they show a scene of this filmmaker, a famous filmmaker that he invited to his house, making a movie alongside this AI assistant. Well, this is happening right now. What's so scary about that show is that everything that they said in that show is actually happening. With AI, now the stuff that's going on today, and with Mr. Gates talking about this, you should be scared. But when you have people like Sam Altman fired out of nowhere, no explanation for it, and then they're saying that it's because he wasn't communicating and nobody took that as a good answer. And now they're saying, we want to bring it back. 90% of the staff said that they would leave and go to Microsoft or somewhere else if he didn't get brought back. Now they're saying he's going to make a return. Well, now it's coming out, and Reuters is reporting that it may be because they were closer to AGI, or artificial general intelligence, than once thought. Now, some of this is on the level of a threat to humanity. And I want you to go back to that sleeper tweet that I told you about with Elon that says the real battle is in the future is going to be between humanists and extinctionists. Now, I don't truly know if Elon is a true humanist. Again, able-bodied, you can ask her and she'll tell you tons of things about him that are super great, if you know what I mean. But as far as Mr. Gates, I know which side he's on. I think he's made that pretty clear. So if you think about it, one system could be on the humanist side and one would be on the extinctionist side. Humanists versus extinctionists. You're talking about super. What would AGI mean, Dex? To just somebody who doesn't know anything about artificial intelligence, what would be the difference between that and artificial general intelligence?
Well, artificial general intelligence is basically the idea of being super intelligent. So being able to, compete with, say, the human brain. The easiest way they sort of look at it is they think something like math. Can it solve math? Uh, which has a definitive answer, which is a lot different than, say, generative. Generative AI is trying to take all of this information and understand and predict what the next word should be, or what, which really creates what's the next sentence or what's the next thing. And it's based off of a bunch of historical learning, as opposed to coming up with, and you could actually get multiple answers. You can say, generative AI, say, tell me, a quick story about a dog with a red ball, and it may give you 4 different versions when you ask the same question 4 times, right? That's generative because it's sense of random, but also really just trying to create the most logical next word that comes up in the language. AGI, or general intelligence, is sort of super intelligence. That is, there is a definitive answer. What is the math? What is this math equation? What is the solution? And being able to solve that with, brain power, as we would think of it, is really what they're talking about with AGI, is being able to solve real problems and create real things, not just generate a statistical response that would be the most likely response that would come back. Does that make sense? It's a very geeky subject, but it is the basis of like the next generation of AI.
Oh my gosh. So do you remember when, this is the freaky stuff. I'm not going to go down this road, man. But back a few years ago, there was a certain letter that was all over the place, right? And there were even some crazy people saying that this letter was from the future. Oh man. And what's really freaky is the longtime executive Murati told employees on Wednesday that a letter about the AI breakthrough called, and I'm just going to show this on screen here. Pronounced this star precipitated the board's actions. The maker of ChatGPT that made progress on this, which some internally believe could be a breakthrough in the startup search for super intelligence, known as AGI. That's a trip, because if you think that everybody was like, people literally said that this is something from the future. And of course, everybody's like, okay, they're loopy. That's a trip. This is what it's called. We are living in a freaking movie, okay? This is just nuts. And just to read you that front part, it says directors, the researchers sent the board of directors a letter warning of a powerful artificial intelligence discovery that they said could threaten humanity. Dex, go ahead.
I just wanted to say this is sort of the proof that sort of backs up the speculation that we had the day he was fired. We said something's going to come out, that this wasn't just, you didn't communicate well with the board. There was something nefarious happening here. And I don't know who's on which side, whether it was the board was doing something and he didn't like it, so they ousted him, or he was doing something and the board didn't like him and they ousted him. Either way, we said something big was actually happening under the covers. And this is sort of that smoking bang bang, if it's true. Now, mind you, it's coming from sources that don't want to reveal themselves. But this is Reuters reporting this, and this is, this type of information has been starting to leak out now and gain a little bit more popularity, that there was something bigger happening behind that firing. Now, what's even crazier is he's actually accepted the job back. So he is now back at OpenAI. So what is that telling us? Maybe this thing that is bad is still there and it's going to keep going.
Ian DeBow says AI can already write code. No reason it couldn't create its own that is more efficient and complex. That's a freaky thought. Somebody said that there was an attack at Rainbow Bridge. We did cover that earlier, and we showed you the video from that. It looks like the gentleman's Bentley, he lost control over it. This is a text from my friend Jacob, also a creator, probably going to do a video on this as well. and it has done a video about the whole rainbow weird kind of things, the all of the coincidences. But it said the car took over. I know someone whose mother is friends with the family. He lives there. The car just went out of control. I said, was it a Tesla? It says just a 50-year-old couple driving a Bentley. Driver was on the phone with his son and said nothing was working and the car did its own thing. Now this was way before the news said it. So now the news is kind of confirming that it was a Bentley, because at first they didn't know what it was, and there was nothing was known at the beginning. That's why they were saying it was a T attack or something. So, and who knows? They could be covering something up that really was that, right? But it seems like it's more likely probably something where they're covering up a flaw with the car so they don't have to recall an entire batch of Bentleys or something. Or the gentleman, it could have been an elderly gentleman that didn't realize that the systems on that car are advanced. I know somebody who almost took their own life on accident with one of these radars in a Hyundai. The Hyundai, my aunt in a Subaru ended up driving into her own porch, but I know somebody else that turned on the electronic cruise control or the smart cruise control or whatever, and they were on the freeway and they had their finger on the steering wheel and it kept pushing the speed up and the radar failed. So it was going 90, 95, 100, and it was on the freeway, and they came up right behind somebody before they ended up thinking to press the brake. Once you press the brake, it disarms it. But I could see if there was a problem with it, where if you press the brake and it didn't shut it off, then you'd be in trouble. But that's how a lot of them work. If you hit the brake manually, it will shut all of it off. Just like regular cruise control, I believe that turns it off too. But some of them have these different systems. So that's freaky. But I don't think it was a T attack, but we'll see. And then as far as the AGI, I mean, like this is just really crazy stuff as far as what is happening here. I think we need to... there's some crazy thoughts that could be had about this. What it's named... It makes you really just ponder. Like, what are they going to say next? That in the future, this thing is like a Skynet and it came back in time to warn people in 2020 or something? Oh, I can see it happening now. Like, we are living in a sci-fi flick. And then in Japan, people are renting. This is so weird. We are just in the weirdest movie ever. In Japan, people are renting handsome, weeping boys. I'm not kidding. This is not something weird. I mean, it is weird. It's super weird. But it's not something like, ew. Handsome, weeping boys to wipe away tears. This is so weird. It says Tokyo offices are experiencing an unconventional approach to ease workplace stress. At a cost of 7,900 yen, roughly ours 4,400, it says people in Japan can access the services of Ikameso Danshi, providing attractive companions referred to as handsome, weeping boys. Apart from their superficial appear, these professionals who wipe tears are challenging societal norms by providing comfort through shared tears and establishing emotional connections in the workplace. Japan is so flipping off the man. They are literally hiring attractive people to come and basically put their arm around your shoulder and cry with you. Hiroki, I'm crying right now. I need a handsome Japanese man. Hiroki Tarai conceived Ikameso Danshi after witnessing the profound impact of collective weeping, leading him to enter the industry. This distinctive initiative, founded on the principle of Rukatsu or tear-seeking, aims to establish an environment where emotional expression is not merely tolerated, but embraced and honored. The service, this has got to be like a Saturday Night Live skit, or an early 2000s or before Saturday Night Live skit, or like a a Mr. Show, a Mr. Show frickin' skit could do this perfectly. It says the service offers customers access to a diverse array of Icameso boys, meticulously selected and presented in an online catalog, from the rugged Showa face adult Icameso boy to the refined healing Mista Tokyo Icameso boy. Each professional is adept at gently wipe. They're literally saying that they can walk up to you and go. I mean, like, it doesn't get any weirder. We are just in another world right now. Each professional is adept at gently wiping tears, participating in communal sobbing sessions, and even watching poignant videos until emotions are expressed. The movie Elemental, which was a total woke flop. It did better than other movies. It's actually not that bad. Of course, I have kids, so I watch all the Pixar movies and all the whatever. I didn't know there was controversy about it until later, but they have the water character, and the whole water character family sits there and cries, and they play a game basically like, oh, we try not to cry. I guess that's going to be a thing in the future in Japan. Teruya, a proponent of the therapeutic advantages of shedding tears, expressed his purpose on the BBC, stating, I want Japanese individuals to shed tears not only at home, but also in the workplace. When you cry at work, there's a highly negative perception. Your colleagues might hesitate to approach you. The entrepreneur advocates that accepting vulnerability in professional environments can promote emotional wellness, confronting the social stigma linked to displaying emotions openly in public. So I agree. There's one thing that, like, they're serious about this. Like, you know, everybody needs a good cry every once in a while. I've cried myself. Plenty of times. I've lost friends. I've done all that. And it helps. Sometimes it just helps. And there's men out there that say they don't cry, but they're just secretly going in a room and crying by themselves. And I can kind of see this. But if this becomes like a thing, and this becomes a thing worldwide or something, this is just over the top. And I guarantee you there will be the same people that are just over the top about everything else that would take advantage of this. And there would be whole groups and yoga classes sitting there crying. And we are in a circus show right now. Dex, go ahead.
That's going to be our new segment. We're going to just start crying on air.
Oh my gosh, like ASMR. There's just going to be like Japanese man crying, or the words they use here. Ikamiso boy crying. And it will just be a guy crying, and it will be looped like a rain video so you can sleep. Or the very strong and acne-scarred Showa adult male crying. And he will go, oh, 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 oh. It will be ASMR for a new generation.
You could have all different versions of crying. You could have the strong sobbing to the little whimpers, right? You could do it all. I bet that's a hit. Somebody needs to go create that channel.
Somebody is going to create a sound channel, sound effects, and you just got to get everybody crying. I bet you in the future that's going to be a thing. Anyways, we wanted to end on a positive note, but I forgot that I put this here too. Microsoft was preparing its San Francisco offices with MacBooks and HR on standby to welcome defecting OpenAI employees. Then Sam Altman rejoined as CEO. So I guess that doesn't work out, but Microsoft still has $13 billion in it. Dex. So basically they were getting ready to welcome hundreds of people, and then they changed their tune, but that doesn't change that the threat to humanity is going away.
Yeah, no, it doesn't change that at all. But this saga, maybe it's over, at least in the sense of the drama about what's going on with leadership. But we're entering that new phase, and that new phase is the why. And even the interim CEO that they brought in from Twitch said, hey, the first thing I'm doing as CEO is launching an investigation, because I want to know why you fired him, because that isn't a good enough reason. And if you want me to continue to be the CEO, then you're going to have to explain it. And we're going to dig in and understand why. Because I think everybody wants to understand what's the real truth behind this. And now that we started talking about what's being leaked out, I think it may be a little bit more nefarious or scary than we thought. And we actually didn't. We weren't in the camp that thought it was nothing. We actually thought it was something serious.
Yep.
So we called it day one. I said there's something going on behind the scenes there that they didn't want to let out, and I think that's what we're getting the view of. Microsoft is in bed either way, whether they're in bed as an investor. I mean, look, this whole thing is integrated into their products now. They have access to it. They would have taken it by having all the employees come work for them, or they would just keep pumping the money into the nonprofit. They're the largest investor, so they're in it no matter what.
And sorry, I didn't mean I tried to mute, but somebody said only tears. So instead of OnlyFans, you'll have only tears. You can pay celebrities to cry with you. It's gonna happen, and as funny as it is, it's this just whole world of just everybody is. They're not only embracing emotions, they're trying to make it forefront of all of our decisions. You can't make decisions based on emotions. It just doesn't work like that. You can make decisions based on gut feelings and things, and sometimes those work out. But a lot of times they don't. It depends on how good your gut is. But as far as when people when governments make decisions based on emotions, that's what you call tyranny. Because that's how the thing is, if you look at the basis of propaganda that goes back thousands of years, what propaganda is, a lot of it, almost all of it, uses emotion to guide somebody's thinking. So you start not only embracing that and trying to pull that out of people, think about how easy they would be to manipulate. When you train people to cry and be depressed about everything, we already have half of the world saying that they are a victim no matter who they are. It doesn't matter who you are. You're a victim of some sort of problem, right? The victim mentality is something that is one of the worst diseases right now. And it goes across the board. It doesn't matter what creed, race, color you are. The victim mentality is something that is really prominent right now. And how many of you guys know somebody that is always victim, always something bad? It's all against them. Yeah. And then let's see here. Just to remind you, but because it is Black Friday, and we're not going to have a show tomorrow. It's Thanksgiving. I'm going to be with my family. Dex is going to be with his. Make sure to go check out Nutrient Survival. This is the really high-end survival food. This is you don't just survive, you thrive. They have a Black Friday Foogle Fam special. So this is a really short-term thing. This is something that we didn't really talk about this week, and it just kicked in. So make sure to go check that out. If you were waiting on Nutrient Survival, then I would definitely go for something like this. As far as Black Friday, the Foogle Fam special, 30% off of any build of your bundles. This applies to number 10 cans, which are incredibly good and easy to store, pantry pack buckets, and go bags. So this is something you won't get later on. So this is a huge deal, especially since this is the higher end stuff. This is really tasty food. You can eat this for normal food. But again, this lasts for over a decade. So this is long-term survival food. It can last up to 25 years. Special ops grade survival food. And the big difference is this has 6 times more nutrients in it than other survival foods. I recommend different brands and even competitors to you because one is going to be right for somebody and one is going to be right for the other. Again, everybody has different tastes when it comes to this. So again, that's one other thing. I never take non-compete. Anything that says you can't represent somebody else, I never take those. And the reason why is because I think that there's a good product for one person. The competitor will be good for somebody else. Again, I really think that there's different camps of people that are going to love this. There's different camps that are going to love this for different reasons. This is really good. It's in small batches. Alaska Pepper turned me onto this. And again, the one thing is though, made in small batches, uh, made in Reno, Tahoe. So this is made in America. That means they're paying American wages. It's going to be more expensive, naturally. 30% off. Go get it while you can. Again, it lasts 25 years, so it's not like it's something that's going to last you. And then, of course, if you want to freeze dry your own stuff, you can save countless. I mean, like the savings are unlimited because you can get free food from your garden and freeze dry it. You can go do whatever coupon cutting you want to do and get food at the cheapest possible price and then freeze dry it rather than buy something that somebody else did. So this is the way to go, but again, it's not going to be for somebody who just wants to do a 3-day kit. You don't buy a couple $1,000 machine to do a 3-day kit. You do this if you want to get 6 months of food or 3 months of food for 5 people in your family. This is the best and cheapest way to do it. It even will pay it off. It will pay itself off very quickly if you are doing a lot of food. It's a very easy unit to use. It's a very cool hobby as well. It's fun. Freeze drying again. So go over to marfooglenews.com/freeze. They also have the Black Friday sale for $500 off. And then of course, Off-Grid has a Black Friday sale, marfooglenews.com/offgrid. They have bags that will protect you against anything coming from your phone and anything going into your phone. Nobody can hack into your phone, and it will protect it against any kind of electromagnetic pulse stuff. They actually have the Faraday bags. They have backpacks that will protect your computers, your laptops, all that stuff. So I wanted to tell you, we normally don't do this many mentions, but you only have one. You have Black Friday. So if you've been watching this show this whole time and we've rotated out these ads, go and check them out. And then, of course, Energy, again, one of the best solar generators out there. This is by far, hands down, I believe, the best solar generator on the market. You don't have to deal with gas stations. It's silent. Go to marfooglenews.com/energy and make sure to use the code Marfoogle. Right now, they have all sorts of great deals, and it's Black Friday. This is the time to go get stuff. So go to marfooglenews.com/energy and make sure to use the code Marfoogle. They stack like Legos. They are expandable up to 96 batteries. And of course, you can get the same one that's shipping out to the Army. They have the Flex Tactical, which again is reinforced steel frame. It has, of course, the built-in heated batteries in every single Energy TAC battery. You've got dust resistance, water resistance, 1,500-pound latches. This thing is absolutely badass. Again, that won the SBR Phase 2 Army contract. So this is going to be the same one that's going to be on the back of probably Humvees and on the back of military AT personnel carriers, APCs. So go check it out, marfooglenews.com/energy. All right, and then Able-Bodied, I hope I see you too. Able-Bodied has been super, super busy. Glad that the Foogle fam got to hang out with you tonight. Chanel Beveliqua, thank you so much for the massive support. It says, the right of people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. A well-armed and well-regulated militia being the best security of a free country, but no person religiously scrupulous of bearing arms shall be compelled to render military service in person. Chanel Beveliqua, it's so nice to see you. And again, it's so great to have the same crew here for years and years. Thank you. I was just saying that to Jacob. We are so blessed to have our people that know where to find us, because the platforms are not helping on that, and they're actually doing the opposite. We are being kind of shoved down. So thank you guys. Taffy Royal, thank you. Frank Miller III, thank you. Trilicit, Melissa Height, thank you so much. I used to be in the library, and grace for you too. Stephen McMahon, off to work. God bless. Stay healthy. And again, thank you again for all of your wonderful comments. Dex, before you go to web only, do you have just kind of a final statement on today and all of the craziness with the Sam Altman?
Well, yeah, definitely. Not a good look, and not something that's making us feel at ease with the development of AI. Everybody's worried about the future of AI, especially the bad things, and this doesn't really make us feel good about it. It makes us feel much more anxious about it, as if we weren't already. And I think that's probably the bad thing that's coming out. Now, the good side is maybe some light will be shed on it. Maybe we'll do something about it. I know a lot of people have been pushing to make changes and or even getting regulations in place to sort of stop this. So I know JB did his thing, but it wasn't that big. So, but we'll see what comes of it. Pay attention; it's going to be important, and this is going to move super fast. So those are my thoughts. Um, Also, it's Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody, and give thanks for the ones your loved ones. Hope you get to spend time with them, and yeah.
Yes, thank you so much, everybody that made it today. Gosh, I feel like I'm going to be sick by Thanksgiving. It's been just rolling around in circles. It's like we weren't sick at all, and then school year popped up, and then once the school year starts, it's done, son. One on B, Kimbria, Poca Loco, Life is Better on Stills. Thank you guys so much. Chance, thank you for holding it down. Lacey Back, no. Kiki Gray, Kimbria, Renegade PD, NMC Dirty Work. Thank you guys. Thank you everybody over on D Live. Thank you for keeping the family alive. Dex, thank you so much for your service today. I appreciate you.
Much love. Great job, brother.
And thank you to the Weeping Boys. I appreciate all of you as well. As stoic as you are in your nature, you have made our lives a better place. You are always there for us to have our shoulders on your face. So I'm just super proud of all of you, and keep crying. Don't let anybody get you down. And if they do, make sure to help them wipe their tears as well. Thank you, Showa, adult male, weeping boy. I appreciate you. Chanel Bevaliqua, I used to be in the library, Taffy Royal, Frank Miller, Trilicit, and everybody else. Thank you, all of the mods. Thank you. Special thank you to the friends list. Make sure to go over and check out marfooglenews.com/friends. Again, I'm sure with the right offer, some of these can come to your aid and wipe your tears as well. It all depends. I'm not going to just put an offer out there from them, but I'm sure, offer they can't refuse, somebody will wipe your tears for you. Bones, Chance Paladin, CJ Blaze, Gem Jammer, Lisa R. Hall. I could see her being a pay for wiping tears kind of person just because she does it already. She should make money at it. She is a very, very sweet woman, and she's always helping people. She is so busy right now with her job that she's not around, but you guys know Lisa R. Hall is one of my favorite people in the world. Rip Curl Readiness was here tonight. He's got an awesome channel. Make sure to go check him out. He did, the other day I saw a clip randomly of him reviewing a Bang Bang. It was a super awesome piece. Make sure to go check out his channel. He's got tons of cool stuff. RJL Harris. Leah has so much fun content. And then Trinity has so much crazy edited, really deep dives. And then Wages World covers all of the solar events. Chance, of course, has his books on Amazon. Bones has his Twitter and his TikTok on there, so you can go check out. He's got funny videos. Go check them all out. And then, of course, CJ Blaze has covered all the 5th generation stuff all the way up till now. So make sure to go check her stuff out as well. She's awesome. And Gem has her link tree with all of her art. Jammer is just an awesome guy. He's always here. You guys know that he is holding the chat down. Thank you, Jammer1. And thank you, everybody else. Love you. Be safe. Be prepared. Marf out. Dex, thank you. Love you. Bye-bye. Good night.
Love you too. Good night.
Happy Thanksgiving. It's time for a shoutro. It's not an outro. It's not a shout out. It's a shoutro.
It's end of the snow. I said I'm happy, nappy, and it's end of the snow. I said I'm happy, nappy, and it's end of the snow. I said I'm happy, nappy, and it's end of the snow. I said I'm happy, nappy, and it's end of the world. I said what is the money for? It's for our next war. hero. Look a lot like he works at the bureau. Face looking like a Neo. Black suit, black tie, this ain't no hero. Hey, I think I see patient zero. Look a lot like he works at the bureau. Face looking like a Neo. Black suit, black tie, this ain't no hero.
We got Indiana in the house. Let's do a roll call, baby. Lori Stack, Kent Kearney, thank you so much. I know we got Ohio up in here. Snurps, what is happening? Able Body, KT Cleans a Lot, Willie Hunt, Dingus Chubb. We're gonna make a song of satisfaction or dissatisfaction for Chanel Bevelicqua. I used to be in the library. Thank you, and thank you. You didn't have to. You did that twice. Thank you so much. I used to be in the library. Says, been here for years. Just a different account name after getting deleted for being fake mass reported with a claim, post explicit content. Only ever had a couple videos of jumping on one of my horses. Happened after a huge, large SC and salty. I feel ya. I said on the way. I bring a lot, I bring on the lie. I said I don't wanna do it like this. Hey, everybody on the play. Everybody really wanna go now. We say a Chanel, a Bevelicqua. Everybody knows la la la. La 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 la. Chanel, Bevelicqua. Bop, 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 bop. Black tie, this ain't no hero. Chanel, Bevelicqua. Everybody say la la la. Chanel, Bevelicqua. Let's say la la la.